What's up, guys? So, if you might be able to tell from this attire, I am out in Detroit, Michigan, and it was really fun. We went to Alex's Automotive. They have an incredibly good Dynacom out there. It is a roller style, also with eddy brake, and it really helps me dial in cars to, I thought, a fantastic level very quickly and effectively. So their dyno operator, Alex himself, everyone was amazing to work with. We had a pretty big crew out here. We had, let's see, Mike, Nick, John, Kevin, other Mike, Cody, bunch of us, okay? It was a blast. So it was pretty much knocking out cars all day long. So left here, this hotel, at about 6:30ish, and I got back here after diagnosing Nick's car after the dyno session till about 9ish. So it was a long day. Very fun, very quick the way that we were able to jump back and forth between cars, and everyone exceeded what they thought would be their power goal by actually a pretty good margin. So I'm just really happy and thankful for having these people as my clients and part of my life, and to make all this a possibility, because I could be doing remote work all the time, and to have the opportunity to take, all these cars out, diagnose, and get all these back on the road, that's very special to me. So I love it. I'm incredibly thankful. And the one car that we did have some faults on is just, we know where to approach next. We have EMI crazy throughout the whole car, so we're going to go through grounding. We're going to try a different ECU. We're going to see if we have to replace that harness entirely and what we do with that. But it is a very weird car, and if I can't solve it in half a day of actually being on the car diagnosing something is broken or wrong. And it's kind of a blessing in disguise, because he had oil pressure that on the rear regulator would be normalizing at 80 psi. And one thing that a lot of engine builders will tell you is, for every, let's say, 10 psi of oil pressure, you're going to be aiming for another maybe 50 horsepower worth of engine protection. So ideally we try to get somewhere between 120 to 140 psi of oil pressure at a car that wants to have 600, 800 horsepower. That's the focus. That's definitely a goal. The oil pressure will be what fills in the gap between your bearing surfaces the harder and harder you run the motor, and the internals of that engine heat up and expand, which means now the space the oil has to be filling is now becoming a larger volume, technically, when you look at the bearings. And so higher oil pressure from the regulator is needed to maintain that, which is why when your car is ice cold, your oil pressure is very high. The oil is thick, it's less viscous, and when the engine heats up more and more, the openings of the bearings get larger. So anyways, it was a blessing in disguise to have found and corrected and done what we could for that car. It'll come back and it'll be incredible. There's been a lot of good hands in that. The fabrication of that car is beautiful, and it's going to be awesome. And that's pretty much it for this video. Just short and sweet. There is one other thing I have to say in regards to business. So I did an engine raffle, and this could be a disgruntled person or whatever who didn't win their engine tuning raffle. I did my best to make sure everyone was added to that list, had everyone contact me, did everyone do this, I sent a bunch of refunds out. Anyways, bottom line is someone reported my PayPal, which is attached to my Venmo, and now I can no longer process either of those. So, sorry, that's not going to be a way for accepting payment, but I've got a few other methods. That's just, in other words, you're taking a couple legs out of my business, and that's fine, because I got a few more. So, not a big deal. It's just frustrating, and people will always find ways to hurt you when they don't understand what you're doing things for. I think it's very interesting to see the reactions that I got from my in-person personality versus the online persona, which I use to get rid of people. If you have too much of a good thing, it can be a bad thing, okay? And it's also to the point of weeding out people that I think are weak-minded or don't understand the reasoning behind focusing on building these cars out. I want to get cars on the road to be reliable, to be fun to drive, and I mean, like what I did earlier this week, I will call others out when necessary, because that's what I've been doing for the last 4 years. When they tell someone something that I know will cause long-term issues for reliability. If someone says don't clearance the rotors, and then they go and do that, well, who's the asshole? At a certain power level, a lot of things need to be modified for these engines to survive, and you don't have to have them absolutely at their bleeding edge limits to enjoy the cars. You can have an overbuilt setup, let's say a little bit bigger port than you expected, a little bit bigger turbo than you expected, and a little bit less boost or less timing than what would be optimized. And what that's going to end up doing is the duration and the lifespan of the engine is going to be significantly better than if you're just go balls to the wall, lock your timing at some extreme fucking level, have no split timing in the motor whatsoever, which is very aggressive for certain configurations, especially when port timing's changed. And instead of doing any of that, make things reliable and fun so you can enjoy it for a decade. Like, these things should be lasting 80,000 miles. The only thing that should be happening is apex seal itself is wearing down like a brake pad. So, I don't get it. Apparently I'm a bad guy for saying certain things cause unreliability, and that's not a smart way to tell someone this is an ultimate guide to building a car, which it is not. So, anyways, that'll wrap this one up. Back to tuning. We've got 5 more cars this week. Catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.